I would love for you to dedicate yourself to actually apply what you hear to your cafe when you have determined that it makes sense for your cafe. This is Keys to the Shop, episode 500, Reflections on Coffee Life and Key Lessons Learned. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFirio. I'm your host, and I've been your host for the past almost 8 years now. Here we are at episode 500, and I welcome you. Episode 500 is kind of a misnomer in some cases. I love that it's 500. It's the main episode that we number. We also have a ton of shift break episodes, those 10, sometimes 15, but mostly 10-minute episodes and specials that we produce number at about 900 episodes if you're counting. But episode 500 today is pretty cool, and I'm just glad you're here with me to have this conversation. And I would invite you to subscribe to the show when you have the opportunity to do so. It doesn't really take much time. All you need to do is hit subscribe wherever you happen to be listening right now. Leave a 5-star rating or a review on iTunes. Well, not iTunes anymore, I guess, but Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that kind of thing. It really helps the show gain, some market share, I guess you could call it, some notoriety, and it just helps people find the show, really. And there's a lot to enjoy over the course of the last 8 years that can really help some folks in the world of coffee shops. And that's really what we're about here at Keys to the Shop is, coffee as a industry. Yes, we do cover a lot of things to understand about the entire supply chain, actually, but really focused on the operation of a coffee shop. That's what drives my own consulting, which I do full-time. This is my full-time job, if anyone's wondering. I mean, I've spent decades in specialty coffee, but these days I am 100% full-time with Keys to the Shop, with the podcast and with coaching and consulting. We've got the key holder coaching groups, which are actually going to launch this week, so I'm really excited for that. And then we have just the one-on-one clients that I work with throughout the year. If you're interested in being one of my clients, then I would invite you to email chris@keystotheshop.com, and we'll just have a conversation about what's going on in your coffee shop and how we can help you and your business's operations, people, and culture grow to its natural next level. And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. I definitely love working to provide custom consulting for my clients. So again, email chris@keystotheshop.com if you're wanting to get in on some coaching for the new year as it's rapidly approaching, or even at the end of this year. So thanks, and I'll talk to you soon. Now, today's episode is brought to you by a couple of great sponsors. We have Ground Control over at groundcontrol.coffee, wonderful brewer that provides you an all-in-one solution for standing out in the marketplace. Then also we have the Pacific Barista Series, which is that plant-based performance beverage that is preferred by so many around the world at pacificfoodservice.com. We'll talk more about them later in the episode. And by the way, at the end of this episode, stay tuned for more information about Coffee Fest and a company that is providing some really wonderful solutions for hard surfaces and tile work and stonework, really artistic, cool stuff from our friends over at Arto Brick. So anyway, I want to just jump in here today and talk about some of the things that have come up over the course of the last 8 years. It's not really about the 8 years. It's kind of a special occasion, a little more conversational today around the Keys to the Shop podcast. And the things that I have really seen over the past 500 episodes, the main episodes. Now, the reason the podcast was started was to provide a focused resource to help coffee shops thrive. And as you might guess, a lot hinges on the coffee shop. The coffee shop itself is a place, and I would include people who are retail roasters, that is not just a service to a customer to get them a latte. It is something that shapes the market. It is something that shapes people's perceptions of what coffee not only can be, so there's aspirational elements in exploring all of the facets of coffee, but what it is. And in some ways, it's enough that we are simply providing an accurate reflection of the beauty of what coffee is. And I don't want us to lose that idea here. A lot of the potentiality of coffee is what drives my peers in the industry. Very insider baseball type of stuff that pushes the envelope here and pushes the envelope there. And the envelope's always being pushed, right? So but we're never opening it, apparently. In other words, there is a beauty of what coffee is that coffee shops have a primary duty to reflect. It's not primarily the duty of a coffee shop to simply push the envelope. It is to care for all of the people. The people include yourself, of course, as the operator, your staff, your community, and based on the quality of the work that you do on a daily basis, you and your team, you care for all of the people that come before you in the value chain of specialty coffee, the supply chain. So there is a potential energy of what coffee is that has to be realized through great work. And you can't really get to fully reflect that image of what coffee is to the public accurately unless you polish your performance, you polish your operations, and then you get this accurate reflection. And that's what Keys to the Shop is about. It's helping to give perspective and to highlight facets of this industry that allow you as an operator to run an amazing and excellent cafe, one where you know you are actually doing the best you can. And as you learn and grow, it's not that you've been putting off things. It's not that you've been accepting just dysfunction. It's that you're actively working to refine and reflect, and you're also celebrating what is in your cafe. So there's this balance of not only pursuing excellence and betterment, but also celebrating and embracing your identity in a cafe at this moment. And it's all necessary. And that's really what Keys to the Shop was started for, was the idea that the cafe holds so much importance in the supply chain to truly help everybody. And that's what energizes me, to know that there is a solution to a challenge that you are facing right now, and that if that challenge is well addressed, then it is able to be removed as an impediment for people's enjoyment, for the care for your staff, for the care for your customers, and so forth. And so today, reflecting on 500 episodes, I want you to walk away with a sense of nobility, a sense of duty, and a sense of urgency, and I would say a mindset of stewardship. One of the main things that we have kind of hammered home over the past many years at Keys to the Shop is that idea of stewardship, of servant leadership. We do want you to be a strong, hands-on leader in your own career, as well, taking personal responsibility. But if you are a leader of other people, you take personal responsibility to serve them well, using the authority that you've been given to steward this thing that so many people rely on. I would say it is a matter of great importance that you enter into. It's not just a career move to make a few extra dollars per hour. If you pursue management and leadership in a cafe, the magnification of your impact on the industry, in some ways, it's exciting, right? But it should scare you a little bit. And I'm not saying that you should walk around fearful or you should not use your authority, but you should have a right way of viewing your authority. 6 Truths About Power is a great episode to listen to think about this as a conduit. You are a conduit of energy. You are, as your authority is sort of like the structure that provides a direction for where energy goes, whether that's resourcing and communication and training or whatever you're involved with. When you're in coffee, at some point, you're going to be a leader and somebody is going to trust you. And this is something that I take pretty seriously myself, being that I have a voice in the industry. I have a platform that has been created over many years, and we talk to people, we provide you with these ideas, and simply by providing this platform, it creates in your mind a path forward where you, because of this show, make or don't make certain decisions. Now, if that doesn't freak you out, then you're not viewing your authority in the right way. Authority is something that can be earned or bestowed upon you, but either way, if you have it, it should be something that you give a lot of thought to. And so when it comes to starting a coffee shop, one of the other things that we have talked about a lot over the years is how to basically, I wouldn't say slow down, but I would say do your due diligence to understand exactly what it is you're getting into. There have been several episodes, including a collaboration episode, around the idea of whether or not you should open a coffee shop. And if you do decide to open one, the danger that you face is an industry that greases the wheels of your progress in terms of the structure of your business. So you could have a lot of locations, you could have a lot of products and menu items, and you could get up and open and large so fast. And that is scary also, in a sense, because the industry of getting coffee shops open doesn't really care in a practical way whether you stay open or not. The fact that we kind of play along with this as an industry is we say, okay, cool, we got open, this is really exciting, and then all of a sudden we don't hear from you for a year or two, and then all of a sudden, we're closing the doors. The industry is a pantry. It is set up for you to grab what you need, but you are ultimately responsible for making the right, responsible decisions. And in today's day and age, we need voices of clarity. We need professionals. We need you to be somebody who makes sober-minded decisions around something that you may have really hyped yourself up for, and in the process kind of eliminated some critical thinking in order to just get it open. The problem is, if you get in that mode of flushing down intentionality and critical thinking and throttling some of that energy for due diligence sake in order to hustle your way into existence, you've created a habit that is going to be hard to shake once you get open. That's why every time I talk to somebody about opening a coffee shop, we talk about 6 months to a year. For some people, it's more, but it's between those timeframes where you have the typical, it's not going to go as well as you think it's going to go idea. Yeah, working with plumbers and electricians and so forth, carpentry and cabinet makers. But also, you as a person need to grow into the kind of person that can handle the thing that you're bringing into existence. So the purpose of Keys to the Shop over the years has been to kind of give you the tools to grow and mature into the kind of person that can handle the business that you currently have and whatever aspirations that you have set before you for the next 5 years or 10 years, that you are a participant in the scaling as a person with the business. And giving you some interviews with people who have been there, done that, made mistakes, had successes, and the anatomy of those businesses gives you this composite image of what is possible in coffee and what is best practice both with people and with process itself. So it's not just about getting open and the physicality of the cafe, that somebody has a counter with machines on it with a menu and highly branded presence. It does not matter. It is cool, but it's even more pressure now to live up to the expectations that sometimes our procrastination energy creates these big marketing campaigns and branding, et cetera, because we're not really comfortable with working on ourselves. We're not comfortable with working on hiring the right people and training them really well and systems of care for those individuals. There's unfortunately a lot of sins that a good marketing campaign can cover up until it reaches a tipping point, and then things tend to break down. And we're like, how is that possible? They always seemed like a super professional brand. So it's about shifting our consciousness into this idea of don't believe everything you see. This is why I get frustrated with the idea that we can simply look to big companies and do what they do and be successful. It is absolutely ludicrous. Even the people that we put on this show, I wouldn't say simply because you enjoy their conversational style or their branding, or even if you enjoy their coffee, that doesn't necessarily mean you should do what they do. You still have to employ critical thinking and determine what the actual practicality or usefulness or value of this piece of advice that somebody gave you, including me or anyone, is. And so the theme of the show over the past 500 episodes and more, the last 8 years, has really been to encourage you to take the next right step for your business, and to do so in a mindful, intentional way means that you might not scale as big as you want to be right away. To embrace the idea that as you grow as a person, a part of your personal growth is going to be to determine that maybe that business decision that you're about to make has more to do with you proving something to yourself than it does what's healthy for the business, what's healthy for your people. And there's a lot of ego in coffee. I don't care who you are. When you are faced with imposter syndrome, you are going to make some pendulum swing decisions about what you do and say yes to prove to yourself that you're a hustler, that you are an entrepreneur, that you belong to the club of people who are making it happen, the small business community. Even the idea of being a good community member in these areas is not so healthy because it sometimes requires you to ignore the community that's right in front of you. Your neighborhood, your family, your staff, your management. And so what I have seen over the years is that the businesses that have the most staying power are the people who kind of start at the roots and tend to the health of their businesses and allow growth to take place, and they steward that growth with respect to how it benefits what already is, and not necessarily how it's going to look good on the brand, or they're going to make some kind of a decision to go into some crazy amount of debt in order to gain market share in an industry outside of their community, that not to make some huge decision around going into debt to create this artificial boost in scaling in hopes that it will work out. Because often what you will see if you slow down to take a look, a lot of what you want is already before you. So I'm not saying that you don't grow your business big, but I'm saying you grow your business with integrity. And one of those values that we have here is one of integrity. And that's a value that I think a lot of us should adopt in the way that we operate the business. Hey everybody, we're going to get right back to our episode here, but I did mention that I wanted to talk to you about our sponsors today. And I want to start with the Ground Control Brewer, which uses SCA award-winning technology to unlock the potential of coffee. And for many years now, they have been just taking the coffee world by storm, elevating all of our expectations on batch brew coffee, but also because of that extraction technology, the Ground Control can actually create espresso concentrates for batch diced lattes, cold brew concentrate for cold brew batching as well. And so this machine is kind of like an all-in-one machine. The new model is actually smaller than the original Cyclops. It can fit in more spaces in the cafe, it has 30% higher output of the concentrates. And so you should check them out at groundcontrol.coffee if you're looking for a showpiece, an elevation in quality, an all-in-one machine that helps your cafe stand out in all the right ways. Check them out again over at groundcontrol.coffee. And I also want to mention the Barista series, the line of plant-based performance beverages designed for baristas and tested by world-class professional baristas before it reaches your bar. And it really shows. I mean, this is a meticulously crafted beverage the way that you would create a latte. They create these plant-based beverages. So it stands up to the heat from steaming, has great texture for latte art. It also keeps the balance focused on the coffee. The flavor balance is focused on the coffee. So a lot of things to love about this. It's why it's preferred by so many across the world. Check them out at pacificfoodservice.com. Get samples and try it for yourself. And I truly think that if you're looking for the best plant-based beverages for your customers, you should be checking out the Barista series from Pacific. A healthy amount of skepticism towards our own knee-jerk reactions to issues is what's necessary to compensate for the power and the authority that we have to shape this business. Again, back to the idea that we're stewards and that the potential that you have with this cafe is in some sense a sacred duty to reflect coffee well to the consumer and to care for well the customer, your staff, and yourself and your own family first. And this is what I think is a key to success in the industry. When we talk about innovation, let's jump on this for a second. When we talk about innovation in the industry, something I have seen over the years as well, reflecting here, is the idea of innovation has been co-opted almost 100% by technology. Almost nobody will invest substantial amounts of money in innovative people solutions. That doesn't involve maybe eliminating people with the use of technology. Hardly anybody will talk about innovative strategies for reconfiguring the way that we run our businesses, but we will talk about machinery and software. And the reason we do this, I think, is because we understand that the problem is not technological. We really want it to be. The problem is usually people. The problem is that the uncomfortable part of the work calls to us. And in maybe the shortest game of telephone ever, we hear that call of, hey, we need to look at our scheduling and we need to look at how we're communicating to our staff. Hey, we need to, whatever it is, what we hear is, hey, you need a machine with scales in the drip tray. Hey, maybe you should get this automated process, or you should get different software. Hey, maybe you should spend hours researching. Hey, maybe you should switch POS systems again. And so because we'd much rather hear that, we end up listening to it as that's what people want. That's what my business needs. That's what I have to invest my time and energy into. And I would say at this point, it would be fair to say we have enough technology. We have enough software. Choose something, use it until the wheels fall off, and take all of the energy that you have and pour it into your people, into your community, into the little things that make a big difference in your cafe, and into training and empowering your staff to grow as professionals. And then take that money that you were going to spend on a new espresso machine where your current one works just fine, but you really want the hot new thing. If you come to that conclusion and you're like, well, we're about to spend 20 grand on this new machine, think about how cool that would be to raise the wages of your staff, and or how cool it would be to do something really special for the people of your business that was an equivalent value of that. What would have been spent on that machine, which it turned out through some soul searching was actually just a move of procrastination or avoidance of real issues in the cafe. This is what it boils down to so often. When you go into a coffee shop and you hear why people are dissatisfied, or customers are upset, or managers are burned out, and owners are frustrated, and it's not because the POS system stinks. It's not because, sometimes it is. I mean, but those things are temporary, right? You would think that as soon as there was a fix for it, that all of a sudden your countenance would change. But it's actually a lot deeper than that. It has to do with personal growth, relationships, and consistency and prioritization of those things. And that's why for the many years we've done Keys to the Shop, we've focused on those things as a through line of conversations with people. We talk about values and hiring, and we talk about the necessity to make values-based hiring and training and business decisions as well. And so as I reflect on these many episodes, it's a never-ending process of showing you the facets of the industry that really matter. You need to understand business. You need to understand technology. You need to understand standard operating procedures and how to conduct meetings, and some stuff about HR and finances. And these are all orbiting around the main thing, which is these relationships and your immediate community of people, and then the connected community of people. They are all in service to that thing, but we can't conflate it, those orbiting bodies around the main one, with the main thing. We can't conflate that. And so we're always kind of calling your attention back to the idea that the solutions are actually a lot more simple than you imagine. When I used to train people in latte art, a lot of times what I would do is I would take away what they wanted to do more than I would tell them what to do. So people would be wiggling like so heavily, and they'd be gripping the pitcher so tightly. I had to take away stuff and say, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. It's actually pretty simple. It was a bit of a trust the process conversation. It's a little more complex than that. But the initial conversation was focused on, here are some simple things that lead to some pretty profound results. And in a coffee shop, it's pretty similar, I think. Now, one of the things that we need to kind of consider today is in the future, there might be thousands of episodes of Keys to the Shop. I want to really call you here to not be a procrastinator. So as we wrap up here, I really want to call you as an audience of Keys to the Shop to do a couple of things. One, I would love for you to dedicate yourself to actually apply what you hear to your cafe when you have determined that it makes sense for your cafe. Not everything is what you should do. Just like you shouldn't have like 150 syrups just because that they're available. I mean, there's so many episodes. You can't and you shouldn't do everything we say on the show or the ideas that are on the show. This show is just a resource, okay? But if you are like, yes, I know we should do that. This is like the final, this is it. This is the sign. I've been thinking about this and Chris just said it, or a guest just said that thing and I know this is what I should do. What I would encourage you to do, what would make the biggest difference in mass, the thousands of you that listen to this show, to do it. Do it. Just start. Put it into practice and do it. And let it be a new journey of identity that you take on that grows gradually, that when you pay attention to that voice inside of you, that professional conscience, that gut feeling that then is confirmed by a lot of outside voices and non-partial voices, follow that. Look into it, do your due diligence. You can listen to a podcast, you can read, you can ask people, and then stop and do it. But you have to stop at some point in order to then do it and start to, instead of being a student of what other things you can do, start to be a student of the process of application of the thing that you know you need to do. Be a student of your business, of your people. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you know that this is you, then we will always welcome you back as a listener, of course. And you are responsible for your own time, your own energy. I'm not your boss. But you might need to take a break, come back, and apply the things that you're talking about or thinking about, see them come to fruition. And when you come back, you will have matured yourself. You will have a greater understanding of your business. I talk about this at Coffee Fest all the time, how the resources you have for the betterment of your cafe, this last link in the supply chain, as it's been called, that is so important for the success of the entire industry and you and your family, are around you already in a lot of cases. In coaching and consultation, I talk about this too. It is part of my job to show you what you have, not just what I have. I might have some insights, but I think you have some insights as well. So that's why, as I've said at episode 100, I say here, you are key. You are the key to the shop. You're a manager. You are a lead barista. You're a barista. You're a owner. It doesn't matter who you are that's actually hearing me say this. You are key because it starts small and it grows. You grow, it grows. And that's how we make a big difference. That's the key to the shop. And it's never going to be something that gets old. We're always sort of apprenticing ourselves to the discipline of caring for what we have. And by doing so, we are ushering in what will be. And to do so in an intentional, conscientious, and people-first way means really great things for the future of coffee. And I'm really just glad that Keys to the Shop has been around as long as it has for these 8 years, now 500 main episodes of the show. I would love to hear from you if you feel like writing to me, Chris at Keys to the Shop. It's always CHRIS at keystotheshop.com. In the last few years, in the 500 episodes or so, it's always fun to hear from listeners. What has been your favorite episode and why? What's made the biggest difference? And how have you grown? How have you seen yourself and your team grow for the better over these years in coffee? I'd just love to hear a little bit about your story. And it doesn't have to be long. Just a few sentences to email is really awesome. But couldn't do it without you. Absolutely. And I thank all of you for your support over the years of Keys to the Shop. Episode 500, it's pretty cool. And again, I would love for you to subscribe to the show and share these episodes. And one thing that I really am excited about is welcoming a new sponsor over at Arto Brick, arto.com, arto.com. They do amazing, beautiful work to make your cafe look amazing and beautiful. They can satisfy all of your hard surface design needs from brick to tile and stone. They design and manufacture and curate hard surfaces for one-of-a-kind places. That's your place, your cafe. And you just go to their website, and it's just amazing. The cafes and restaurants, etc., that I've worked on. DM them on Instagram at artobrick. Mention that you heard about them at Keys to the Shop. Say Chris sent me. And again, check them out, Arto Brick, and that's at arto.com. And follow them on Instagram. Reach out at Arto Brick. I also want to make sure that you visit coffeefest.com. Coffee Fest has been going on for 30 plus years, a great resource for making your cafe successful and energizing you and your staff. I'm going to be at all the shows. I was this year, I will be next year, and we're going to Minneapolis in a couple of weeks. Check them out, coffeefest.com, for free and accessibly priced trainings, workshops, lectures, panel discussions, as well as the trade show floor. You get to interact with vendors from all different parts of the industry that can outfit your cafe with amazing stuff. I love Coffee Fest. I've been going for 20 years as a presenter, and I don't see any time stopping soon. So I hope to see you at Coffee Fest, maybe in Minneapolis. Come see me. I'll be speaking, and then check out the lineup of cities for 2025, coffeefest.com. And with that, that is the end of our show, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time to join me as usual. Don't forget to subscribe, share the show, and also I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.